Hey, you are listening to The Growth Signal.
And my
My
name
name
is
is Alyssa
Yelena,
Nolte,
Banic.
and we're going to get right into it. Tell us, what is your hot take?
My hot take is that there is no better way to sell something than to show people, other people, their peers, their favorites, influencers, or celebrities wearing that product or that brand.
I love this because one of my obsessions is the six principles of persuasion, the Robert Cialdini six principles of persuasion. And I
Yep.
have a psychology degree. So that's really what got me excited about like marketing and the way that we think about how consumers make decisions. And one of the six principles of persuasion that is a proven scientific fact that works is social proof, right? And seeing other people out there doing the thing you want to do or wearing the thing you want to wear. So tell us a little bit more about, your thoughts on this concept. Like how does it work? And most importantly, how could listeners take advantage of the
Well,
same
I work
principle?
in this industry that is all about showing social proof right at the point of sale, right on the site. So, what I think is that now there are a lot more like inclusive models and stuff out there, but still, when you're looking at a particular product, the lighting, the pose, the outfit that it's matched with, the other products it's matched with, sometimes you can't really see yourself wearing it unless there is a lot of additional social proof shown there. So, especially if it's like, let's say, a black shirt or something, it's hard to see the details sometimes. But when you see pictures of other people wearing it, it can kind of inspire you to picture yourself at an event or doing something wearing that product. So, I find that that really does help close the gap of like people just bouncing from the website once they already saw the product. So this does really help with conversion and closing that sale. So I love doing it personally. I've been working in this industry for 6 and a bit years now. But even myself, like when I shop, I really like I shop intentionally. I don't just, like maybe 10 years ago when I used to just buy so many items and just have an overflow of stuff. I try to buy intentionally and buy items that I could mix and match with different events or outfits and just intentionally wear it more frequently and better quality items. So that is something that is important to me. And then it's of course in also the industry that I work in. So I see it really helping brands and helping people when they're trying to purchase something.
I think that this is so important too, especially for us smaller businesses who, if you aren't the Amazons of the world in terms of your online store, if you're not selling on Amazon or wherever you're selling, you don't necessarily have the volume and traffic that you would if you were selling on big platform like that. For example, I got invited to be one of the Amazon Vine creators, and I do not know how I got the invitation, but essentially they send me products and I write a review on Amazon. And so that just goes to show how important it is to Amazon to get that user generated content, me as the user, to the point where they're facilitating that relationship with their online sellers, their e-commerce companies, so that that company can have my review of their product. But not everybody wants to sell on Amazon, and not everybody wants to well, not everyone can be Amazon, obviously. But that micro influencer, I'm nobody famous, but that micro influencer experience of having that real feedback from a real person who maybe looks like me and wants to see how the shirt might fit on them.
Absolutely. And I mean, Amazon has a system in place where they're kind of getting influencers to do reviews. There are so many companies who have a system in place, but it's not necessarily pulling that content back onto their website. It's like they use influencers to post on their personal Instagram or their TikTok to promote the product. So a lot of the times this media already exists. It just exists on social. So it is nice to be able to pull it from the social aspect to the brand's website as well. So I like seeing it on the website too. I feel like, a lot of people are trying to like limit their social media time and stuff, but they'll still go and shop. So to have that content right there, on the Amazon review or right there at the point of sale, if you're looking at a product, that is very powerful too, because sometimes on social, like, after a couple of weeks or months that it was posted, it kind of gets weeded down. So I think it's really powerful having it on the brand's website specifically, whether it is through a review or it is just on the product page in some sort of visual gallery.
So when you when you talk about kind of going out and getting that user generated content and trying to understand, how do we use this social proof to help people decide if this product is right for them? Are we only talking about like influencers and micro influencers and the people who are kind of in the game to create that content? Or are we talking about, normal everyday people who are maybe just sharing their experiences and not even
So
being
it's
pumped
a
for
mix of both, and there is definitely the promo content that is, sourced out, but there is also organic content where as long as the brand is mentioned, they are able to see that on social on someone else's site. So the company that I worked for, they've been around for over 10 years. They were the first to ever kind of think of this idea to pull content from social onto the brand's websites. Anything that the brand is tagged in, they would be able to see that. And then, of course, some content is better than others. Some content might be, who knows, it could be negative or something like that. So they would be able to choose what content they want to turn on or off. And then in addition, they could actually ask for permission if it was something organic. So, of course, if it was an influencer they already have an agreement with, they might not have to already ask for permission if they already have a contract. But if it was organic, then they can ask. I mean, we're talking about there's everyday people posting, but sometimes it's also like celebrities just happen to actually buy the product and wear it on like, out to dinner or something like that. And then the brand spots it. So that is really powerful too, to be able to pull that content in for them.
Yeah, I just saw a TikTok for those sparkle metallic, like, freckle tattoo things that you wear for, like, festivals and stuff, and they were talking about how Khloe Kardashian and her kids were wearing, Phase It freckles, I think is what they're called, was wearing them in one of their TikTok videos, and how, like, 1, life-changing that is, but 2, the ability to connect with those celebrity stories and drive that social proof. I only knew that because I saw it on their TikTok account, but to carry that story forward so you don't lose that opportunity simply because in this attention economy we've all moved on, let's
Exactly.
call
Yeah,
back
that's
to it.
definitely really powerful to always have it. And I mean, having that social proof or even, content from Instagram shown on the site, it's definitely powerful to have it on the product page, like product specific. But also, a lot of brands struggle with like a bounce rate on their landing page or their homepage. And of course, it takes a lot of manpower to constantly be updating and, hard coding new photos onto the homepage. So adding some sort of dynamic element to the homepage, like just linking your Instagram to the bottom, where if they do click on a photo, they could shop the products in the photo. That's something that we believe in too. And it is proven to lower the bounce rate from the homepage and then help drive conversions once they're on the product page. So all of that really does help. And it helps kind of solidify those celebrity stories or those organic posts or those influencer posts on the proper area of the website for the brand to be able to, look back and constantly be reusing that inspo to get people to purchase the product.
If someone is listening to this, they have a business to consumer product that they want to start pushing, and we're stepping into the new year now, and how would you even get started? Like, if you've never really dabbled in user generated content before or this social proof, social media thing, how would you get started if you've never done it before?
There's a couple options. So there are some brands who just maybe just launched. They don't really have a big budget. So they would probably target some micro influencers and create some sort of deals and contracts with them, which would be beneficial for the brand because they would get content, but it would be also beneficial for the influencer who, is a smaller name and they could maybe just get some free stuff or get paid for some sort of amount. And then we're seeing more and more brands that are starting out with a big budget for this, and they're getting big names, big influencers, and having them post and promote the brand. And there is also something that our company allows for brands to display. So if they wanted to actually show like top picks by Bella Hadid or favorite outfits by Gigi Hadid or something like that on their website, they could actually shop like a curated gallery by a specific influencer. But I would say definitely for if you have a small budget, start with micro influencers. If you have a bigger budget, start with some bigger names who have really high engagement. It's not even all about followers anymore because, some people have had their Instagram accounts for 10 plus years and some of those followers don't go on Instagram anymore. But I would look at the influencers' engagement, so their engagement numbers, so which is basically the ratio of how many people are actually interacting with their photos compared to their follower account. I've seen a lot of micro influencers who have a really high engagement, like kind of comparable to, other influencers who have like 10 times the followers. So I would target the ones with maybe less followers but higher engagement. Because that would tell me that people would see this photo and would be potentially influenced by this photo that they're posting.
So I see I was doing some prep for our conversation and I see that some of your clients are Skims and Kylie Cosmetics. Obviously household names that really any woman who's ever been on the internet should be aware of. Tell us though, I'm going to assume that none of the Kardashians listen to my podcast or people who are the same
Never.
size of their following. So if the followers of this podcast are not a Kardashian, what can they do or what can they copy or what like secrets can we steal from those big brands if we don't have that massive budget?
Well, those big brands are doing the same thing as a lot of smaller brands. Often, it's just at a much larger scale. So I would say any UGC or any social proof is better than no social proof. It's just maybe with Kylie Cosmetics, they're able to have, 100 pictures of social proof on some of their top products and best selling products, where, a smaller brand might have like 3 to 5 pictures of social proof on there, which is still really helpful for the user. In the case of Kylie Cosmetics, which is makeup, of course, there's often like even, hard coded onto the website, at least 2 skin tones, like 2 different models wearing the product. But this way you're able to see many different, makeup styles, many different skin tones, many different skin textures, all of that stuff. So that is really helpful to be able to see. And even like if someone has the same skin tone as me, but maybe they have dark hair and I have light hair, it sometimes does look different still. So it is helpful to, I would say for a smaller brand, start with what you can just to have some sort of social proof and UGC on the site because that does help convert. And then of course, if the actual product photos that they're taking, the more the better. But I mean, this is just a very dynamic way to just, click approve or, tag the product and then have it show in the right place at the right time. So start small and then grow as you can. With a lot of these social tools, like the company I work for, 460, we have convert like metrics and conversion. So they're able to see how many people are actually clicking on those social galleries and then purchasing the product. And there would be a conversion dollar amount or whatever the currency on the site is attributed to that. So they're able to see that. And then if they're seeing, an ROI of like 10 times, they might consider, okay, this is a strategy that's working. So we need to invest more into this. A lot of there are some companies who do like it depends on how many sales you're getting, that's how much you pay. But with 460, it's just a flat rate. So even like let's say Skims could be paying a flat rate, but seeing an ROI of like 1,000, and then a smaller brand could be seeing an ROI of 5. Both are they're getting more than what they're paying for every month. So it's amazing. But of course, with the bigger brands, they have more at a higher scale to invest compared to someone smaller, but it does benefit in both cases, I would say.
So I would love to have your perspective while we're kind of on the influencer conversation. So, um I know like a lot of people are getting off social media. I unfortunately am not one of them. So I am doom scrolling on TikTok way more than I should be. And lately my entire feed is filled with Mikayla Nogueira's point of view lip kits that she just launched. And it's the most interesting experience of mixed reviews. And I haven't bought one yet. One, because I think they're a little pricey. But two, um, it's so interesting because I have half the internet who is giving me like, "Oh my gosh, this is the worst, terrible, most sticky lip product ever. You're gonna hate it." And then half of it's like, "Oh no, it's really great and I love it and I'm gonna use it every day." And I'm not buying because I caught and I'm like, I don't really know who's telling the truth, so I'm just gonna, sit this one out. How do you balance that when, like, obviously, if I'm paying an influencer, I want them to be honest, but honest in my favor. You know what I mean? So, how do you balance that when you're dealing with trying to build trust, leverage user generated content, and work with
I think in
influencers?
the case of Mikayla, she's a pretty controversial figure. And I think that maybe some people, whether they're getting paid or not, they would say a negative review no matter what. So in that case, it is tough to know the quality of the product because of the founder being a controversial figure to a lot of people, especially with some of the other products that she's launched. They maybe thought she was dishonest and stuff like that. So that is a tough one because, yeah, it is hard to decipher, okay, who's telling the truth, who is just hating to hate, who is just loving it because they're getting paid. Um, so in a case like that, I would buy the product if I really liked the product and if I thought it was like a worthwhile. So in your case, if you think it's a little expensive to start with and it is mixed reviews, then I don't know if I would get it, to be honest. But when working with influencers, yeah, like we want them to be honest, but in our favor. So maybe if there is anything negative, to also mention what are some of the positive stuff. Like, there is a lot of product in here. It's a little sticky, but there is a lot of product and it lasted. Um, so yeah, it is tough in that case. But I would say, like, I mean, the founder would still have the choice to only show the stuff on their site that they want. So they would be able to like not put any negative stuff. It's different than reviews. This is just like social content that they are choosing to put on their website. So I would look at a combination of the social stuff that I'm seeing and then the overall reviews. Cause a lot of the times the social stuff, they could have gotten a free gift. They could have just borrowed their friends, but the reviews could be tied to real customers too, who actually bought it, who have no gain in saying this is negative or this is positive. Sometimes with influencers, yeah, they might go viral if they're trash talking like a product from a controversial figure. So that might be the
Right.
gain in that. So I kind of try to see like, is there a gain in someone saying something negative for no reason? So reviews are important in that case because yeah, a lot of the times the reviews on the website, again, they can't just show the positive reviews. They would have to show everything. But there wouldn't be a big gain for somebody to trash talk a product if it was okay actually. Um, like they would if they wanted to post a TikTok and maybe with the intention to go viral. So that case is a little bit of a tough one. I feel like in most cases, though, it's not that split. Like it wouldn't be such polar opposite reviews. It would be more leaning to one side. So it would be a little bit easier to decipher. So that's what I would say in that case.
If someone is hearing this and they really have limited budget, limited bandwidth, and they only really have time to optimize like one thing about their e-commerce experience, where would you have them start?
I would have them optimize their product pages in any which way that they can. So, in my opinion, their product pages would have to have clear images of their products. It would have to have a lot of information and details of their products. And it would have to have social proof. And then maybe some sort of like, this goes well with it. Or if you like this, we recommend this. Because the whole purpose of the e-commerce experience is to get them to the product page, get the customer to the product page. And sometimes I see on product pages little things that are trying to kind of get them to different product pages. But I like to say on a product page, try to keep them there. So show them as many pictures of the product, add to cart, kind of really huge in the focal point. That's what we're trying to push them to do. So I would say optimizing the brand's product pages. And if someone had, I guess it does depend on the issue that they're having because sometimes people have their issues, they just don't have a lot of traffic on their site. If they don't have a lot of traffic, maybe they wouldn't start at the product pages. They would start with some sort of marketing and brand awareness. But in this case, I'm assuming they do have traffic. They're just maybe not maximizing their sales and their conversion. So then I would say the product pages, because that's where we really want them to go. So everything on the website is trying to get them to the point of sale. And then on the point of sale area, trying to get them to make sure they complete the purchase by really enticing them. So that's what I would say for that one.
Considering all of the people that you know or aspire to know, who else is out there? Who else should we be paying attention to?
There is a company called No Commerce, KNO Commerce. And one of the heads of the company, his name is Bar. He kind of opened my eyes to how much personal branding and posting on LinkedIn or Twitter or X or social media can actually drive brand people and brands to learn about your company. I do scroll just like you. I'm on social a lot, but I don't post that much about myself or my company or my brand or anything like that. So that was something that when he told me that like one third of the leads that they get for their brand is coming from just personal brand and people reaching out on his LinkedIn, that was really surprising to me. So what No Commerce does, it's a really great it basically post purchase surveys and they're asking different types of questions than the typical post purchase surveys that we've seen in the last 15 years of like e-commerce purchases. So instead of just, what did you think of the product or how did you what would you rate this product? They asked some really interesting questions that almost want to make you answer it. Um and that kind of really inspired me to try to post more on LinkedIn and try to develop that personal branding side because there is and I think that would go for not just like a tool like mine, which I work with e-commerce companies, but e-commerce companies themselves. Like I actually like to buy from an e-commerce brand if I know a little bit about the story of their founders or the people working for them. So it opened my eyes that it's not just all about marketing or branding, but the personal brand aspect behind a company, whether it's an app like, like our company that works alongside e-commerce brands, or if it's e-commerce brands themselves or any company really, that does warm people to want to make a purchase. Because although Amazon is doing really well, they lack that. That's why people do sometimes gravitate towards, a smaller business where they really know the story, or even a bigger business where they've heard the journey of the CEO or the founder. So personal branding is a huge aspect, I think, to any company. And I think that's like a really big bonus if you can leverage that and really use that.
And if someone is connecting with you, they want to learn more, they want to start a conversation or follow along as you build your personal brand, where can they
They can
find you
find
online?
me at spelled out FOURSIXTY.com. You can book a personal call with me and I would be able to diagnose your brand and what I think that you need and what plan would be best suited for you and what type of UGC or social proof that you can have. Or you can also find me on LinkedIn, just my name, Yelena, be on LinkedIn. Um, but that would be the best place to contact actually just on the website to be able to book a call.
Well, Yelena, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. This was really an interesting conversation and one I think every small business, or honestly any business
Thank
of
you
any
so
size,
much,
needed to
Alyssa.
hear.